the number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States. The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States. The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States.
Hey, what's up? You know, I was going to address how everyone is going around calling one another fascists or communists or socialists. And I was going to illustrate how they were all the same, really, that they were all forms of collectivism and that they had really become indistinguishable. But when I did an AI search on collectivism, lo and behold, a new ism popped up, all new and pristine. Corporatism. So now I'm not only going to talk about collectivism and apply it to our society, I'm going to be talking about that too. So apparently, corporatism is like the other isms, except that it's run by corporations, as the name would imply. It's literally a corporate socialist state. And I'll just read this here. Corporatism is a collective ideology that emphasizes the organization of society into groups based on common interests and functions with the aim of achieving social justice and economic control through corporate governance. The collective nature of corporatism is evident in its focus on group identity and the collective well-being over individual rights and freedoms. So apparently you're going to have all the tech companies in one little group, and then all of the manufacturing companies into another little group, and then, I don't know, just any other business community organized into small groups, which will, I guess, form I guess you could call it a corporate republic that'll run society independently of course, we the people. So how do you like that? Now, however, I'm going to continue based on my original intent of just amalgamating all four of these isms into the broad category of collectivism. And they all have similar traits. First of all, as the name would imply, they uphold the group over the individual. But groups are a construct. I mean, they can mean whatever anyone wants them to mean, and they can change literally from day to day. So it's hard for, like, Joe Sixpack to focus on them, really. So that's why you see so many of these societies creating a personality cult around their leaders. And they do that to give a corporeal face to, like, an intangible concept. And so there you got Stalin and Hitler and Mao and all those guys. And then, the Saddam Hussein. They all did it. For instance, I'm an individual. You can put your hands on me. You can define me. So individual rights are tangible. But not so in a collectivist society. They're nebulous and then you also have the obvious things that you think of. Individuals lack inherent value, which gives rise to practices like euthanasia, eugenics, and scapegoating, especially scapegoating. Because they all do it invariably. They'll all make up some boogeyman that they use to attack, whether it be Jews or the bourgeois or Israel or white men. Also, they all value social justice over individual rights. The communists, the Nazis, they all did that. But social justice is a construct, too. And as such, can be defined by whomever controls the power. For instance, you'll hear somebody say everybody has a right to dignity. Well, what does that mean? That could change on a whim. And usually when it's applied to any society, it causes a whole lot of trouble. So let me play you what Mr. Milli Vanilli has to say here.
Que el All of these ideas that the world has been embracing in recent years, and this political correction, which basically means embracing socialist ideas, this is socialism in different stripes. What you need to do is realize that Argentina tried out all these things. The stupidity of social justice. Argentina is an iconic example of social justice and of the damage it can do, social justice, that is. So what you need to understand is that Argentina, as part of this process that led to it being the wealthiest country in the world and then being number 140. This is why in Davos I said the West is in danger, because we gave up the ideas of freedom that create prosperity, and we started to embrace the ideas of decadence, socialist ideas. And therefore what happened in Argentina was that these ideas permeated things. Gramsci had worked very nice in Argentina. It had permeated education, culture, politics. Wherever you look, there was socialism.
And also, Argentina was the one country in South America where the Nazis really managed to exert their influence the most. But anyway, it gives you an idea of what social justice is and what it'll do to a country. Because it's just an excuse to be able to do whatever you want to do. A government to do whatever it wants to do, anyway. Collective societies, by their nature, are coercive, and I think we all know that. Collectivist societies, by their nature, emphasize the importance of the collective or the group over the individual, which leads them to use coercive measures, especially when the needs or goals of the collective are prioritized over individual rights and freedoms. But see, it goes a step further than that. I didn't really even think about it until just doing this video, but they also try to assertively coerce people into actually doing things that they wouldn't otherwise do, rather than simply prohibit people from doing things that the establishment deems as being bad or negative. And I'll give you a really good example right here.
Gender neutral, so I am not a female nor am I a male. I would be in between. So right here would be my pronouns. So instead of she or he, you would refer as Z. Instead of her or him, you would refer as Zer. Instead of her or his, it would be Zer. Yes, in that.
So I'm sorry, I'm confused. Are you Mr. Daring, Miss Daring?
No, I am Teacher Daring. There would be no Mr. or Mrs. in front of that. Just Teacher Daring.
I'm confused.
What are you confused about?
I'm confused over the whole thing. Why do we have to learn this?
Well, because this is how the world is changing now. So the world progresses and we progress with the world. Yes, and
can we just call you by what you look like your pronouns are?
No, because that would be disrespectful. So my pronouns are Z, Zer, Zer, Zers, and Zerself, or you can just call me Teacher Daring.
They kind of remind you of theocrats in a theocracy, don't they? Trying to impose their religion on everyone. Some, mullah or something. And, I think that's kind of what they are. Societies always have inequality under the law. Some groups of people get special privileges. After all, if the establishment deems you or your identity to be unworthy, then the law doesn't apply to you equally. As simple as that. And I'll give you an example here. These kids, there are a lot of furries running around this middle school, so all the kids just, they walked out because of the way they were being treated. Apparently, the furries are running around in the hallways, biting and scratching folks, and they even have litter boxes in the restrooms. Now, I looked up litter boxes in the restrooms, and Google said that it was all a conspiracy theory. But the kids are saying it right here And, you know, they certainly sound sincere to me, so I'm going to go ahead and play this. And I don't know, it can be kind of hard to distinguish what they're saying. I may not play the whole thing, but listen to this.
So are they wearing a mask every day?
Yes. But every time we go, they're always just wearing a mask. But the principal finally stood up and banned those stuff. But they still wear them every day.
And they don't get in trouble. The principal doesn't make them get in trouble.
Yeah. All the principal says is just be kind, be nice, be nice. And then
What's the point of dressing up like a furry?
it's just
I don't know. They think they're so cool that they want to
get a
be
lot of attention. They want attention. So people can come at them and just look at them and think that they're so cool.
Okay.
Also,
Are you guys going to be in trouble for walking out of school today?
no, maybe.
If we go back on school grounds, we will get in trouble.
Hopefully not. We're standing for our rights. We're standing for what the furries are wrong. This is wrong. They should not be
Do
doing
your
this.
parents know you guys are out here?
Yes.
Okay.
They attack us. If they find us and we just kick them, we get in trouble. They attack us.
They attack us and we get in trouble.
Okay, how else do they attack you guys?
They either bite us, they scratch us, they bark at
pounce
us,
on us. They pounce on us. And then
they run on all fours and pounce on people.
Why are they spraying you with Febreze?
Just because we apparently have rabies.
And the rumor that they were putting litter boxes in the girls' bathroom, and the boys, they started putting litter boxes.
I heard that was just a rumor.
No, it's true.
Is it something you've seen?
Yeah.
Anyway, it went on. The principal wouldn't allow them to retaliate at all, but then, of course, the kids were getting beat up and harassed by these furries. I don't know, man. I've heard of furriosity. Maybe I should be a furry. I wonder what I should be. Huh. Okay, this next one is the most important one of all. It's kind of the linchpin of the whole thing. They deny people property rights. Property rights are the foundation of a free society. Collective governments invariably deprive people of these rights for the greater good, as they say. You see, you can talk all you want, but unless you have control of your property, you're not free. And a society isn't free. That's John Locke 101. People can get out in the street and scream and yell all they want, but if they don't have control of their property to buy and sell freely, then they're not free, and a society isn't free. Also, not being able to acquire and control property is a disincentive to produce. That's why you see in collective societies like China how most of their military equipment, especially their planes, are just basically carbon copies of the ones we've done because they don't have any incentive to do anything on their own. They just steal it from us because no one's rewarded. But anyway, I'll give you a good example here about property rights here in the United States.
In 6 months, you haven't paid rent. It's my house.
It is his house, but the man inside who won't pay rent keeps him from using it. Likewise, the owner of this house left town for 3 weeks, only to return and find...
There were cars in the driveway and people inside.
When he confronted them, they said,
No, we're living here. We have a lease.
the squatters didn't have a lease. But today, squatters often claim they do. Go to a house and take it over. Bizarrely, laws favor the squatter.
In New York State, you cannot legally lock a squatter out of your home or turn off utilities. And once a squatter is there for 30 days, they are classified as a tenant.
Is there anything a homeowner can do about it? Well, Flash Shelton came up with a clever idea.
This man is on a mission to take back his parents' house after he says squatters moved in. I just felt like,
Okay, I'll end it there. I'm sure you get the idea. What he was doing was just going in and squatting on the squatters. He just moved in and, re-squatted. But anyway, I'm sure you can see the point. And like I say, this is absolutely the most fundamental right any free society can have. Because if you don't have property rights, you have nothing. And of course, you have religious persecution. They always have it because religions represent a competitor to the moral authority of the state. And it really isn't just limited to religious institutions. They usually keep a pretty tight rein on the military too. They don't allow very much room for individual initiative. That's the reason why when you see these countries fighting, they really don't employ any creativity or imagination in the way they attack. They just take a bunch of guys and make them run at the enemy and try to overwhelm them. And they do that because they're not allowed to think. They keep a pretty tight rein on the military and, of course, religious institutions, as I just said. So let's listen here.
There are 96.7 million Christians in China. That makes up about 7% of their population. And every day, home churches are being raided, Bibles are being seized, people are being put behind bars for their faith in Jesus Christ. And it's not just Christians. The Muslim Uyghurs, more than 1 million, are now in basically camps because they are practicing the Muslim faith, and the Chinese do not want them to do anything other than really worship of the Communist Party. And so that's why Senator Budd on the Senate side and I on the House side have introduced legislation to put heavy sanctions on those leading the Chinese Communist government.
Yeah, and how much chance do you think that legislation has of being passed? Huh? You know, this kind of thing is happening all over the world. In Nigeria, in Armenia, Christians are being persecuted all over the world, but, you know, you don't ever hear about it here. In fact, you don't even hear the preachers talking about it. Kind of suspicious, don't you think? So anyway, there you have it. Corporatism, the new ism. It's what's for breakfast. And, you know, if you like my video, give me a like and subscribe. And thanks a lot. Adios.